Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Crap.
my gosh.
What was that? Round us wings.
Brothers and sisters and siblings, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Gillette. My name is Michael Udo. Maddie, Reddy, Rich, Penn, and I are broadcasting from our separate homes in Las Vegas. This week, Matt has some Fool Us breakdowns, and Reddy and Godot both take a pilgrimage to see oversized machinery. Here he is, preaching love, Mr. Penn Gillette.
I am Penn Gillette. I am Penn Gillette. A sentence that as the quarantine goes on becomes harder and harder to believe. It becomes just nonsense syllables said over and over again.
You are still hardcore, right? You do not leave your house except for a walk, right?
Not even that really anymore. That's fallen away.
Really? So you're just home?
Home. And I have gone out in the car in 4 months, whatever it is. I've gone out in the car 5 times. But every time I've been out in the car, the stop I've made in the car is when I get back to my garage.
Yeah.
I take my daughter to see her very good friend, and they meet out on her porch, and they wear masks, and they chat for an hour, and I sit in the cab.
Oh, wow.
And then because our life is changing desperately, kind of almost I am a pentameter, Emily is gone to Utah, as in the second person version of Tweety Pie. Utah Putty Cat.
Utah.
Utah. She has a job, a J-O-B.
Oh, yes. I know about this.
Which I don't think I can talk much about.
No,
I'm very happy to violate my own contracts.
Yeah.
Violating Emily's seems beyond the pale.
There's a small chance I was joining her.
I think there's a very good chance you're joining her.
Yeah, but not for this particular.
Not for this trip.
Which I was somewhat relieved by. I recently even postponed, because I'm dealing with family stuff and going to arranging a funeral and trying to figure out how that works in times of COVID. I had to postpone my first gig that was going to still happen, was a gig in Utah doing magic. And it just seems weird right now.
Yeah. Well, she, I wouldn't say asked me, because if she asked me, I'd say yes. But she kind of let me know that I was welcome to drive 6 hours to Utah.
Oh. And with your electric car, that's dicey, yeah? With your electric car,
she rented a car.
Oh, okay.
So last night, I drove her over to the rent-a-car place and sat in the car while she got the rent-a-car and then drove back. And then driving back.
Penn, is your tea ready?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a little sea shanty playing in the background.
It's not a sea shanty, it's Bach. It's minuet in G, you idiot.
Still sounds like a pan flute, and I expected
Can't quite hear it.
a lot of tiny dwarves or something to come walking across your desk.
Well, they are.
The tea is ready.
Adjust your camera, please.
But, so there I was in my Tesla, my grotesquely underused Tesla, alone in the car. And as we recall, last time I was in that car, not the last time, the time before, I played Thunder Road by Springsteen.
Yes.
And I Ain't No Hero, It's Understood.
Yeah.
I began sobbing uncontrollably. Well, because my Tesla has a mind of its own, when I turned on the radio after my wife got out and I was alone in the hot, dry Vegas night of the 4th of July,
right,
on came Born in the USA. After some aborted attempts at Dirty Laundry by Don Henley and Cinnamon Girl by Neil Young and a couple Tom Petty tunes, there came Born in the USA, and my thumb went immediately to my control wheel to skip over it.
Yeah.
And then inexplicably, this thumb here
Yeah.
could have hit this, which would be skipping,
Yeah.
but instead did this, which was rolling up the volume.
Really?
Rolling up the volume to about ears of a 22-year-old volume.
Oh, my spell worked.
CBGB.
Jersey.
CBGB spelling. And I listened to Springsteen singing Born Down in a Dead Man's Town. The first hit I took was when I hit the ground. You end up like a dog that's been beat too much, and you spend half your life just covering up.
Preach.
Born in the USA. And right on Born in the USA, fireworks began exploding all over me
Oh, wow.
because it was 4th of July in Vegas, and I was on 215. Born in the USA, born USA, born. And every time I've listened to that song, it has that amazing feeling that we get also from the Sex Pistols, Born in the U.S. Anarchy in the UK.
Yeah.
Where they say anarchy and it's uplifting while the lyrics are incredibly depressing.
Right.
And Springsteen, of course, was doing that on purpose. He's written a national anthem twinged with sadness.
Yeah.
But it's twinged with sadness over the Vietnam War and factory work. And when it came out and shortly after, there was a big issue with veterans. And Vietnam was still one of the biggest problems in our rearview mirror.
Yeah.
And now we're another century. We're what, 40 years since Born in the USA?
Yeah.
Ish. And
84.
it was 84, so 35, 36 years. And now 9/11's there, and Afghanistan and Iraq. And now there's COVID. And most importantly, there's Trump. And Trump talking about our history and our heritage, while Springsteen saying, born in the USA, born in the... There is so much promise in the idea of the United States of America. The Constitution, written by deeply flawed, hypocritical men at a flawed and deeply hypocritical time, with their reach exceeding their grasp. All of them, and I guess, is this worse or better? I guess it's nothing. It's neither. All of them aware that slavery was a bad idea.
Right.
And all of them still doing it. You can't claim that they were ignorant that owning another human being was a bad idea.
Yeah.
But judging people in the past by our standards now is what we have to do. All we have is our standards now, and we must keep repeating what people in the past have done wrong. But oh my goodness, when those chickens come home to roost, and in 200 years we're judged by 200 years hence, God bless us all. Not one of us will make it.
Right.
And the time-traveling apology is a very tricky thing. For Kimmel and Fallon to apologize for what they did then, it almost seems like, why weren't you busting them then? And maybe they were. You know?
Yeah. I think in those situations, it's particularly, there's a picture of Jimmy Fallon who played Chris Rock with Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And I think You know, even growing up as a kid, mixed race to high schools, you know, there were white kids that were given permission by black kids to speak like a fellow black kid and use words that I can't use, right? And now that certainly wouldn't hold up now either, you know?
Like Chimera.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's difficult because, you know, I think when you feel like you are, even though you're a white man, you're on the right side of history, and you want to go out there and push buttons and kind of like get under the skin of people who don't agree with you, you take weird risks to do that. And
it is interesting that I believe in every one of these cases, the person wearing blackface did not consider it to be an anti-black bit.
Right.
I mean, whether they were naive or incorrect,
right?
They were not saying, let's do this. It was not a Klan meeting.
No. And like in the case of Kimmel, you know, playing Shaquille O'Neal, that he's already expressed regret for that, and that also was, you know, 20 years ago. You know, so I hope we all feel differently about everything we've done 20 years later. You know,
but in terms of impersonation,
yeah,
putting on glasses when you don't need them.
It gets difficult. And honestly, you know, we talked about this off air. I think we've talked about it a little bit on air. I think a lot of this really does stem from not hearing any empathy from places of leadership. And I think that we're finding a lot of attacking a lot of places where they will get empathy. And I think this could change in time.
It really is remarkable how the charge against Kimmel is led by, Trump Jr.
Right.
Which is, which is at very best gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
At very best hypocritical.
Well, like kind of like when the recently, I don't know if you were probably following this, but the Bubba Wallace incident with NASCAR.
Yeah.
So they found out they thought the noose was placed in his garage, and it turned out that was simply the way someone had tied a garage door holder, and that's the way it had been for some time. And people who were condemning it as racist, were, you know, who still had voices on air or anything else, were saying, "Why aren't we expressing relief at this notion? Why are we celebrating victory and rubbing it in people's faces that it wasn't actually a noose? We should just be letting out a collective sigh as a society at the discovery that the noose was not a noose."
And you could also go another way and say, aren't we glad that Fallon and Kimmel say they've learned and won't do that again?
Exactly. Yeah.
That the times have changed. Celebrate that the times have changed instead of carrying it forward with the people.
And you're right. Like years from now, 200 years from now, the scope will have moved so far that it'll be so strange to even try to empathize with us about what things we let slide during this time.
Yeah, we don't even know what it'll be on.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, we do know. We do know it'll be animals. It'll all be animals.
Yeah. It'll be animals.
People will be saying, you ate chicken that was made in factories out of torture?
Well, also, like, you knew where pandemics came from and changed zero laws to make sure they didn't keep happening. I mean, it's bizarre. Like, we had an epidemiologist on here who's like, yes, every epidemiologist knows and has known this is where these things come from. And if we just...
But the problem is that none of these epidemiologists did stuff like write books.
No, they didn't.
Oh, they did. They did.
Yeah,
really?
sat at home.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Just sat at home whining. That's why we still have it.
So anyway, that song used to be, boy, there's bad stuff about the way we treat veterans.
Yeah.
And boy, Vietnam was a bad idea. But God damn it, I was born in the USA.
Yeah.
I'm kind of fortunate for that. And now I wish the chorus were, born in New Zealand. I was born in New Zealand. Then the COVID came and took a stand. We said, let that stay with the foreign man, because we're born in New Zealand. You have your gas fires, your refineries. We will stay here, stay here safely.
Yeah.
On the right side of history, we are born in New Zealand. Rest of the world can take us to task, but man, we wore our masks because we were born in New Zealand.
That was pretty good.
Never caught on to this because I didn't try to out-research a scientist. The amount of people just doing their research is still baffling to me.
They got 50,000 cases a day, and New Zealand don't play that way because we were born in... Have you been to New Zealand?
I think I'm about to move there.
They may be.
Yeah.
They may be handling the epidemic right, but they also sure are beautiful. And they sure are nice.
Yes.
But here's my question. Does each and every one of them have $1,000 worth of commercial grade fireworks like everyone in Vegas? Come on. There's no way they have as many fireworks as we do.
I was out, I don't know what this means, but I was out in the backyard last night reading. I didn't even look up. Fireworks don't get my attention any longer.
Now, we went out in the front yard and watched all of our neighbors blow up things much, much larger than should be fired off in a neighborhood street.
Yeah, it means nothing to me.
Yeah.
Means nothing. Doesn't even scare our dogs.
Nah, my dogs get scared. My kids play with sparklers. It's fun. We still have fun with
Our dog doesn't give a fuck.
it. That's good. My dog didn't used to give a fuck. Now the dog is climbing in my mouth every time something goes off.
So now when I listen to Born in the USA, it is, it's nothing but melancholy.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been a very melancholy song. I think it just was strange that it hit in the summer of '84, where it was associated with a gigantic stadium tour that everybody just loved,
Yeah.
And then Reagan, of course, tried to co-op it. So
Yeah, because he hadn't listened to the rest of the lyrics.
Well, I mean, how does...
but that's common too.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't understand at all. How does Donald Trump use "You Can't Always Get What You Want" as a campaign song? About buying drugs, about buying illegal drugs, about Jimi Hendrix dying, and about disappointment in what you believed.
And not an American artist.
That's correct. Arguably not even an artist. And you do, but I don't know, does that, I mean, we know he doesn't listen, watch, or think about anything. We know that. But when he hears the title, "You Can't Always Get What You Want," is he saying, well, we're saying that to the elites? Is it he has gone first person and he is addressing the elites? Hillary Clinton, "You can't always get what you want." Joe Biden, "You can't always get what you want. We're going to get what we need." And that's Trump. Is that the point?
That's the best interpretation I've heard of it.
Yeah, that's a lot of credit given there.
He also plays Macho Man unironically. He does it so that he is perceived as a macho man. A to A. It's really weird.
He does play Macho Man, doesn't he?
He does. He plays Macho Man by the Village People. The Village People.
What I can't understand is how he plays Cocksucker Blues by the... Well,
So did you cry in the cars?
I guess he could be played on with "Strange Fruit" by Billie Holiday. But I mean, how do you do that? And aren't there a lot more choices of dad rock than that?
It's a weird. I mean, it's a whole.
I mean,
culture.
why not Stairway to Heaven?
You are lyric obsessed more than most. We should.
It's the title. It's the title. At least Born in the USA has a title.
Yeah.
You can't always get what you... At least Macho Man has a title that can be misinterpreted. You can't vote for me and you won't get what you want.
But
that's true.
It's a dig at the left, just in general, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Vote for me and the left won't get what they want.
I guess that's the best interpretation.
Yeah, it must be sung with a nanny poo poo subtext.
That's the background singers.
Yeah, pointing at the protesters outside. You
So
can't know
when they
what's
go
going
down
on.
to the Chelsea drugstore to get the prescription filled, that's saying that the lefts are drug addicts, right?
Yep.
So difficult, this, understanding the world thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you cry in the car to Born in the USA when
No.
the fireworks went off?
No,
Did you feel anger? What was the emotion?
probably worse than that.
Okay.
Probably just dead.
Ah,
I do not have, maybe I should be talking to a clinical professional about this as opposed to on a podcast, but I do not have the emotional ups and downs I used to have.
oh, interesting.
I'm much more dial tone nowadays.
In a achieving Zen from meditating every day?
We would hope so. I don't think so.
yeah. Is it up here level or down here level?
It's about waist level, but no lower than waist level where it gets good.
Yeah.
It just seems like, Glenn says, the rest of the tours are canceled for August. And I go, okay.
Right.
That's what the entertainment world has become, though. We are all hopelessly mired at this point.
Well, the idea of like, hey, let's all fit in the theater. It's like that's the last thing that's going to recover, right? We're going to try to figure out other stuff first, like I don't know, like the courts and things like that.
Also, things look crazy when you watch television and movies from a year ago.
Yeah.
Why are all these people together?
Yes.
Why are they spitting on each other?
Yeah. When there's like 400 extras in a scene, you're like, oh my God, get out of there.
It's so strange. And it's just, I was watching documentaries, not wanting to watch any more murder shows. And I felt like watching just an old-fashioned movie. My goal was to watch a movie that my parents would have taken me to a drive-in to see when I was 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Because we went in the summer, we went to the drive-in every week.
Nice.
And we did not even look at what was playing.
Right.
It could be Sex of the Single Girl, could be Goldfinger, could be The Birds. I'm jumping around eras.
Yeah.
But the Gillette family made a big bag of popcorn at home because the popcorn at the theater was too expensive. And we brought sodas or lemonade because it was too expensive at the theater. And I sat in the back seat, went up and played in the the swing set in front.
Yeah.
Then we sat in our car. We were not nihilists who sat in the hood. We did not put our car in backwards and sit on the tailgate. We sat in the car like grown-ups. We put the big speaker in there. And we watched the movie. And if the movie was slightly inappropriate for my age, my parents winced. And that was the end of the dealing with that. So I wanted that feeling. And so I said, how about this movie? And I pulled up the Elizabeth Man. No, the Invisible Man was Elizabeth Moss. And as far as I can tell from a cursory look at my Apple TV, Elizabeth Moss is in everything. Is that correct?
Yes. Her and Reese Witherspoon.
She's in everything.
Yes.
She's good.
It was quite a deal. Yeah, she signed a contract for everything, and she's really been knocking it out ever since.
And I've met Elizabeth Moss, and I was a little bit uncomfortable with her Scientology, but she was not preachy about it. We had a wonderful conversation. At that time, she was with Fred Armisen or whatever.
Fred Armisen?
Armisen, she was married to him.
Okay.
And the two of them were backstage at the Emmys when I hosted. And
they didn't give you a stress test or anything?
They did not. No personality test, no nothing.
Oh, okay.
And we chatted, and they were funny and charming and self-effacing and humble. And she is so, so damn good. So I watched Invisible Man. Have you watched The Invisible Man?
I have not.
Is this the newest one?
Yeah.
No, she's in the one from 1930.
Well, that's where the story was going, to the one to 1930, and then you said, all right, yeah, I saw it. It was good. Interesting.
You saw the new one.
I did see the new one.
And you know, I really like, and you could say with this preamble that I was going to complain a little bit about all the Me Too feminist gloss that's on it. That's what I love about it. I love when you take intellectual ideas, even facile ones, and staple gun them onto a monster movie.
Yeah.
The new Twilight Zone, Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone, I love that. I love that it covers Black Lives Matter and Me Too and date rape, and I love that it covers all that in a Twilight Zone form, because that's what that form is supposed to do. That form is supposed to give you a monster movie with all that excitement, and then also spoon feed you some philosophy.
Yeah.
And this is about, men being controlling to women and invisible men being even worse.
Yeah.
And it is true science fiction, ready, Rich?
Yes.
In that it is using a scientific principle to drive the plot.
I liked that aspect of it.
It also has the star of Patriot in it.
Oh.
Michael Dorman.
It was great to see him.
Michael Dorman. It was great to see Michael Dorman. He's wonderful.
I'll have to watch it now. Now I'm in.
I really like seeing a woman playing a part that isn't exploitive. She does a shower scene, but it's not gratuitous, and it's not pushing sexuality. I love that she doesn't play her sexuality in any sort of exploitive way. And I do love people who do play their sexuality in an exploitive way. I really do. I love, Daniel Craig taking his clothes off just to take his clothes off. Right. I love that. I love Tom Cruise without his shirt running. But I also love an actor that she also, in terms of her face, her makeup is not glamorous. I also like that. She's playing an everyman. She's playing every person, I suppose, but she's playing like a Bruce Willis Die Hard.
Yeah.
And it's really good. And if you want someone who can do a lot of push-ups, the male lead can. I've forgotten his name. But the male lead can do a lot of push-ups.
I thought you were about to tell me about how many push-ups Elizabeth Moss could do, and I was on board.
She can do a lot.
She can do more than me, but that's not saying much.
But I will tell you, the man that she's staying with, not the husband, but the man that she's staying with, I imagine you get tired counting before he gets tired doing push-ups. Okay, Matt Donnelly, we're going to count all the push-ups this guy can do. 10,001. Fuck it. Never mind. You know what the words you would say were? I'm tired.
I'm tired.
I'm tired of counting.
Yeah.
I watched the movie alone. I watched the movie in my dial tone of low-grade depression. And it held my attention, and it gave me a couple of good, honest scares, a few really clever things. And, Elizabeth Moss does this thing that Robert Downey Jr. does. When she's doing a silly role, she prepares for it like she's doing Macbeth.
Yeah.
You see some actors, we know who they are, walk through the superhero stuff like I'm going to get the money from this, and then I'll go and do serious movies.
Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr., when he's doing Iron Man, it's like, okay, this is Macbeth now.
Yeah.
You think that every single instant of that character, he knows what he's doing. Every instant. Yeah. Every twinkle, he knows what he's doing. And Elizabeth Moss, who has done serious, smart movies, is now doing this kind of dumb Invisible Man, and you cannot tell her it's kind of dumb. Every gesture, every move, it's, when it comes right down to it, the people that do their work the way they're supposed to do it, goddamn, it works. It really does work. And speaking of doing work the way you're supposed to do it, how about our friends at Stamps.com?
Yeah.
They do their job and they do it well, don't they?
They are the Elizabeth Moss of mailing
shipping
companies.
Mailing companies. For all our sakes, we need to avoid crowds any way we can right now. But what if you need to go to the post office? What if you need postage to send out letters and packages? Don't worry, Stamps.com is here to help, like Elizabeth Moss. Serious, doing their work. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and skip those lines and crowds at the post office. Plus, you can actually save money with discounts you can't even get at the post office. And as if that wasn't enough, and believe me, it's enough. Stamps.com also offers UPS service with discounts up to 62% and no UPS residential surcharges, which you will find out is very important if you want to send stuff UPS. Stamps.com brings all the service of the U.S. Postal Service right to your computer for the safety and comfort of your own home, office, or anywhere else you're hunkering down right now. Whether you're a small business sending invoices, online shipping out products, or just working from home and need to mail stuff, Stamps.com can handle all of these. We had all this leftover director's cut merchandise, and we just offered it to people like it cost. People seem to want it. We sent it out, Stamps.com. It was tremendous. Stamps.com, you get great discounts. 5 cents off every first-class stamp. 5 cents off every first-class stamp?
Yes.
Plus 60% off shipping rates. Stamps.com is a no-brainer, especially now, saving you time and money and keeping you safe in these crazy times. Right now, our listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in
Penn.
That's Stamps.com, enter
Penn.
And please, Stamps.com reminds us they care about you. Please stay safe. So The Invisible Man was a really fine movie. And I wanted to watch another movie just like it right after it, and no hope. Nothing looked good after that.
Oh.
All looked like murder shows. Now, there is murder in The Invisible Man, but in the service of a monster movie. So, Matt Donnelly, what's happening on Fool Us? What happened last week?
So last week...
Because now we're caught up, right? Yeah, good.
Yeah. So this was, you had, this was the Teller versus Penn episode.
That was episode 2.
It was episode 2. Your first guy up was Eric Leclerc, a Canadian magician, who came out with a gigantic box of packing peanuts.
Oh.
Eric Leclerc.
Leclerc, sorry, I'm misreading his name as an American with an ignorant mouth. Leclerc.
Packing peanuts trick.
Yes.
Which was really good.
Yes.
And which fooled us.
Yes.
It was funny, and the method, I'm not going to talk about the method, but I really wish I could, because the method is so clever and so easy to explain once you've got it.
It was a surprisingly slick trick, because it just was so big and funny at the time. And going back to rewatch it when it aired, I was like, oh, this is a very well-rehearsed and figured out routine. He had Teller sign a packing peanut, toss it, lose in the box, paint himself with glue, dive
Now,
in
you
the
should
box.
say the box is a very large box.
Yeah.
A very large refrigerator box, yeah.
Yeah. Dives his whole body into it, comes up, no dice, lo and behold, the signed packing peanut is in his mouth. And I came up to you right after because I didn't know how it was done, but I was surprised it was a fool, or just I always am, like anyone else, guessing whether it's going to fool you guys or not. I remember coming up to you like a little puppy right after we wrapped that segment, and the first thing you did was turn to me and goes, "I bet you're mad you didn't think of that trick." And you're absolutely right. I was like, "Fuck, this is an awesome trick to be doing on stage."
And when you watch
doing this trick.
when you watch it, people, keep in mind it's not a duplicate packing peanut. It is the self-same one. It's the hero that ends up in his mouth.
Yeah. It is well done. He apparently has a YouTube channel, because I've talked about this on another podcast, and he plans to reveal his method on his YouTube channel. So he's a man of the people for this.
Plays in the key of F.
Yes.
I'm taking credit for this one, by the way.
You are.
Why?
Yes. My best friend does audio for his show,
He has a television show in Canada.
and he did not want to do Fool Us because he didn't understand that fooling you isn't the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I explained to him through my friend.
You get full credit for that, Ready Rich.
Yeah.
It's a very good trick. Who's up next?
We have Dev Sherman, a New Zealander, Penn.
We were born in New Zealand.
Has he got a car? Can we ride back with him?
We are getting sick and we can do a magic trick because we were born in New Zealand.
He did a close-up card trick with Allison where he drew symbols on cards, like a fish hook, a wave, and something else I'm drawing. I can't remember. He had an inner critic that as he went to do each trick, before anyone could say anything out loud, his inner critic would shout at him to do a better magic.
Wasn't the inner critic me?
No.
Oh, he's not the one that used my voice?
No, he's not the one that used your voice. Spoiler alert for the upcoming season.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. I think it's hilarious. Even knowing that, I think it's actually exciting. There's a performer coming up later on this season who found a way to use Penn's voice to say anything he wanted.
Things that I had not said.
Yeah.
Like, boy, I'm glad we have Trump and don't live in New Zealand. Now he could use it, but he didn't need me to say that.
I'm going to take credit for that idea too, but we'll deal with that when we get to it.
So Dev, at first he made it was very theatrical. He made the symbol he drew on one card suddenly appear on four. His inner critic pipes up. He faces his inner critic. He does it with a blank deck, makes the whole thing appear on a regular deck of cards. Inner critic pipes up again, and he ends up doing a card prediction with Allison pointing to any random card, and the prediction ends up on the back of the card. It was just a smooth up close card trick. Didn't fool you guys.
Mm-hmm. Who's up next?
Conan Leo from China. Conan did the thing with the tea kettle where he made it was the kind of thing where like he made a woman appear out of a table, but first he made tea for Allison. And it was a classic example of like for the large illusion, that's wonderful for the people. You guys were very concerned with the tea.
Right.
He served tea, and he made tea appear in a clear glass kettle, and he poured the cup, and Allison drank the tea.
Yeah, usually those think-a-drink things are chemical,
Right.
so you can't drink them.
Yeah.
Doesn't that look like a nice pot of tea? Yes, it does. Okay, good night.
He was an upcoming. He's won a lot of awards in China and stuff. He's very, very famous in China, and he has a great online following as well.
And very clean magic. Well done.
Yeah, you could see that his television experience showed through. He did a thing where he like brought the camera with him to inspect his table before he did his table illusion, where he looked directly into the camera. And I was like, we don't direct people on Fool Us to do that unless they want to do that on their own. There's not going to be an on-camera rehearsal. Be like, go ahead, break the fourth wall, look on the camera, and invite them to look at your stuff. So it was very, very pro moves on the young guy. And yeah, she drank the tea. The tea, by the way, was so delicious. Allison sent someone around to find out what kind of tea that was because she thought it was so delicious that she needed to know what brand it was before he left.
Oolong. We're doing a new show. coming up on the CW, which is Penn can name any kind of tea with one look and one taste.
Think of tea.
Think of tea.
There's no trick. I just think about tea and I talk about it.
They all taste.
Now, he did not fool us, right? Or he did?
He did not. Although he wanted to.
I remember how that was done, I think.
Yeah. There's a lot more dialogue than what made air.
That was the one that Teller did not know and I did.
Oh, interesting. It's always good to make note of those.
Yeah.
I'll give you full credit.
And the ones that I don't mention, probably I got to, but go ahead.
That's it. By getting this nugget of credit, you actually condemn so much more of your abilities. Spanish magician, always bad news,
Jesus,
right?
Bad news.
Ruben Villagrand.
Oh, yeah.
Did a comedy routine where he ate fish hooks on string. Mm-hmm. And brought a string of fish hooks at the end, similar to Teller's needles, but with fish hooks and a little fish gimmick at the top of the trick. And then just fish hooks look a little bit more difficult to do that with than needles.
Yep.
It was a really fun routine. Fun fact, he'd been doing this trick for a while. It was one of his signature routines. You could have bought it before he was on Fool Us for like $50. I went and checked and looked at it again after it aired. It's now $500 if you want to do this trick.
So, magicians, come on, fool us.
So if you're curious, besides trying to fool Penn and Teller, why you might want to go on Penn and Teller Fool Us,
Product placement.
I can tell you right now that there's maybe a reason you want to do that.
The magic trick that saved the world.
Absolutely. Also, he didn't fool us.
He did not.
And still have that huge success. Keep that in mind, magicians.
Yeah. And you pointed out there was a difference between his method and Teller's method, but not enough that you could just figure it out by listening. So you got to do your research. And now it costs you at least $500 to really know the answer. And then you tried to fuck over your partner and fool him without him knowing that this was going to happen.
I got the idea.
And it was Penn versus Teller on the show.
And I got some nice reactions to the boxing poster behind me.
Yes.
With Teller and I in boxing trunks. Yeah. And several people commented on how attractive my body was. And I had to point out to them that it was not my body. My head was photoshopped on that body. It reminds me of a very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
That I was dating for a while. And while I was dating her, a spread came out in Playboy where they had bought pictures of her nude at 19.
Ooh.
And were printing them. And it was a big cover story, this celebrity nude in the magazine. And we were dating seriously, and she was coming home to see me. And several of my friends had called me and said, your good friend is in Playboy, nude. And I went, I wonder what her mood's going to be. I had a copy of the Playboy. It's way back when they did nudes. She arrived, and I said, so you're in Playboy this month? And she said, yeah, someone told me. I said, I got the picture. I got the picture here. And she said, let me see it. Give me it. So she looks up her name and opens it. And she looks at it for a little while like this. And says, that's not me. I said, it's not? She said, no, they photoshopped my face onto a different body. That's my face at 19. And this is really good. I don't even know if it was Photoshop at that time. This is really good photographic work. But that's not me. And I said, so I don't even know. What do you do now? Do you sue or nothing? She goes, nope. It's a better body than mine. I love it. I said, so what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to say those are pictures of me when I was 19. I said, I don't think it's a better body than yours. And she said, shut up.
Oh. That's a smack down the kiss-ass move. It was perfectly played kiss-ass move.
Smack down the kiss-ass move. Yeah, just shut up.
Shut up. I still think you had to play it that way.
Yeah. Here's the really embarrassing thing. I believe it.
Oh, that what she said.
I believe that her body is better than the body they use in the photo.
Oh, yeah.
I just believe it is. It's just more to my taste.
Yeah.
You think she's listening? Is that what you're saying?
So my body being photoshopped in the boxing thing. Now, I came to the producers right after the previous season. Like a year ago now.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do a trick where I am the contestant, where I come out in full teller. And they said, great. What trick? I said, I don't know, but I want a trick that can fool them. So then I called up all the usual suspects. I called up Alejandro over in Spain. I called up Kostya Kimlet here in Florida. I called up Handsome Jack in L.A. I called up Piff. Called up Mac. Said, I need a trick that I can do that will fool Teller. And they all said, listen, asshole, if we had a trick we thought could fool Teller, we would be doing it.
We would have performed it on Fool Us.
Yeah. And then I found, Piff found this great trick with a cactus and a balloon.
Yeah.
And that was available. You could buy it. And I thought it had a good chance of fooling Teller. And Piff said, I think Matt King was working on that.
Yeah, Mac owns one, yeah.
So I called Matt King and I said, would you be upset if I did this on Fool Us? And Max said, yes. I went, oh, damn. He did not say you can't do it. He just said he would be a little sad if I did it. And Mac and I are good friends, so I said no. And then Piff came up with this great idea. Piff said he had a friend. He said, here's what the trick will be. You take a balloon. You have Teller pick an uninflated balloon. Teller pick any one of them. He takes it and blows it up with his own breath. You tie it off, tie it to a string, and then it floats in the air like helium. I said, nice. Wow, that's a good trick. And he said, yes, I've seen it done. I said, really? He said, kinda. I said, boy, that's a great, great trick. He said, I'll call the guy who did it. And he called back and said, the guy says you can do it. And I said, well, how do you do it? He said, you have a pack of super helium. I said, super helium? He said, yes, it's helium that's lighter than regular helium. And it's light enough that it can carry the helium up, the regular air up.
Does it make your voice even higher?
And I said, so he said, you would have that little pack palmed, the balloon would be opaque, and you blow it up, and then while he's tying off the string, you snap it to the back. It'll be the same color as the balloon, and the super helium will rise it up. And then you will cut the string, it'll go to the ceiling, and you can't examine it. I said, boy, this is great. I said, get me the super helium. Piff said, okay. So Piff got back to me 3 weeks later and said, he doesn't have any super helium left. I said, well, I know friends who know this kind of shit. I'll get in touch with them. And I wrote to some physicists and chemists and magicians. And I said, I need super helium. They said, well, you just go to a welding store and they'll have helium. I said, no, I need super helium. They said, what's super helium? I said, super helium is lighter than helium. They said, well, there's a chemical composition of helium that we know. It's an atom. Are you looking for a lighter atom of helium? I said, yes. They said, okay, we don't know of any lighter atom of helium that's lighter.
I know a magician who does, you idiot chemist.
Yes.
Click.
I've done my research.
Oh, I wasn't done.
Turns out it's... Oh.
And then Piff said, he says it's from Star Wars. I said, uh-oh. Star Wars isn't real. Right? And they said, no. They gave out a Star Wars helium balloon. They sold it at Party City. And it had a hand holding out a lightsaber. And they had a pack of super helium you stuck to the back of the hand. And it held up the end. And it's those little packs. And they're at Party City. So I said, okay, Piff. He said, I'll run over to Party City and get some for you. I said, get plenty. We're going to need this super helium. Piff called up and said, Party City's run out of helium. And they say they remember, was it Anacar? Who was the character in Star Wars? Anakin. They remember the Anakin balloon, and they remember the little packet, but they don't have any more of them. So I then went to our crew, and I said, Nate, find us some super helium. He said, right on it, boss. And he wrote me an email back 2 days later and said, what is super helium? So then Piff said, maybe we need better helium. So the store we went to that had helium, the helium is 99.9% pure. I said, it's those impurities that are dragging down our balloon. So we went to a more careful helium shop and got more clear. And then Piff said, what we'll do is get a pouch and we'll force the helium in to make it more dense. And I said, Piff, if it's more dense, it gets heavier, right? He said,
yes.
No, there's more helium in there. I said, and it's heavier. He said, okay, we're going to try it. Wrote back, it doesn't work. I said, well, get this fucker that did it. Get the fucker that did it when you saw it. And he said, okay. So we got that guy. We talked to him. I said to him, did you do this? He said, yeah, we used the packet from the Anacore thing, which gave it some lift, and then we added a thread. I said, teller's going to say thread. So that dead end was...
Oh.
By the way, people, no such thing as super helium.
By the way, people, this is how every magic trick construction works.
It's exactly true. It's exactly true.
This is exactly, when you have an idea for a magic trick, this is exactly the trajectory.
And then another...
Complete with calls to scientists going, what are you talking about?
And then a Spanish magician, not Hondro, but the other guy, Adrian.
I know a guy who climbed a rope into nowhere.
Yeah. Another guy, Adrian, or Adriana,
Yeah.
Spain. He said, if you want to do the balloon trick, here's 3 ways to do it. And I said, no, I don't want to do the balloon trick. I want to do the balloon trick with a way that'll fool Teller, and none of these will. So then Mike Close, who is the judge on Fool Us and can't go on Fool Us, said, maybe this trick will fool Teller. And he gave me a trick where I would be always wrong and end up being right. And I came up with patter. And it's actually was pretty difficult to do. Yeah. And I became obsessing on it. I was practicing it every day for Moxie. Moxie would come in and be Teller. She put on the suit coat and everything. And then Moxie would say at the end, well, Dad, you fucked it up again. I said, I know, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better. And I was getting better. And I came in, and I got to tell you, I went through the real process that the magicians go through. Or maybe you know better. Did I go through the real process?
What do you mean, for this trick?
Yeah. I mean, I went into the room.
Yeah.
With Andrew and with Lincoln.
Yes. You absolutely did. You went through it, and you complete with, and this is, I don't mean to call you on this, but I think it's hilarious. complete with what several magicians do every year, complete with you working the ref at the end before you left your rehearsal.
What do you mean?
Complete with you leaning in close going, if he says this, that's not going to be a fool. If he says this, that's not going to be a fool. And I was like, contestants always think they can tell close what is and isn't a fool.
I really believe that. I was working the ref. I really was.
Yeah, you were nervous as shit. You came into Belize like every other contestant does, and you laid it all out.
And what was also really strange was I had this really elaborate system where I was going to tell Teller that my stomach was bad, and I was going to have to go back to my dressing room.
Yeah.
And then Andrew was going to tell Teller, let's just shoot a few things with Allison. And then she'll say, our next contestant is part of a team, da-da-da-da-da. Here he is, Penn, and I'll come out. And I was so excited about that. I even called the bit. The bit was called Stomach Trouble in code words.
Yeah.
And then I told Handsome Jack that, and Handsome Jack said, it's a lot funnier if she just says our next contestant is part of a team. But here he is solo. Ladies and gentlemen, from Penn and Teller, please welcome Penn. Yeah. I just stand up from where I am and walk up. Mm-hmm. And the great thing was, I thought this was so funny. She said, one of this team is going to come up here from the team Penn and Teller. And then I was going to look over at Teller and go, what the fuck? Which I thought would be really funny. Now, people have asked me if Teller was really fooled. Teller was no, that's not the issue. If Teller really was surprised.
Yes.
By me being on. Completely.
Bowled over.
No idea.
One of the things that's crazy is that there's packets of all the stuff that you guys work on floating around all the time. So we had to have a code name for that trick on every piece of paper that went out there. Mm-hmm. I had to have lines for her intro for you and lines for like whether fool or no fool and all that kind of stuff. And that was hidden on the bottom of the prompter completely, so it would never even scroll up by accident.
Right.
So you'd even see it on the air or whatever. Then, which we haven't gotten into, is decided that Piff would come out and be the mouthpiece for Teller.
He'd be me.
For on air. They didn't realize that we had to keep Piff hidden from Teller all day. So he was just away from the production, not knowing what was going on the whole day with the schedule. And then it was only until they had lined up that they realized that he needed to have ears into the truck in order to be Teller's mouthpiece, but he couldn't have access to the truck or even test whether his mic worked to talk to the truck because Teller's connected to the truck.
Right.
So that slowed things down for like 15 minutes.
So I sat there for 15 minutes.
Yes.
Broiling in my own sweat.
Yes. It was way worse than everything we just set up here. It took so much longer, and it was as long as you can imagine. If you were to say 15 minutes, it would sound exaggerating. It was an actual 15 minutes of you sitting next to Teller with nothing going on, knowing you were about to surprise him. Because
and also going,
Piff to talk to the
wonder who the next magician is.
And then Piff comes down the aisle. Teller is relieved. He's like, I'm going to get to play off of Piff. I got to play off of Penn, and starts trying to do the breakdown. Teller found out then that since he was on your brain trust, he can't talk to Teller about anything that Teller saw. And Teller is furious. Teller is pissed because he keeps trying to talk to Piff. And there's a quick little clip when you look where Piff looks kind of scared as he nods no while he's pretending to eat popcorn. And that was like 5 minutes of that. It was just Piff terrified as Teller hated him as he tried to work out the trick out loud.
Piff thought it was the worst day of his life. He was laughing so hard about getting that gig. It ended up being a bad gig.
Yeah. It came off great on camera, though. It actually came off really
it
great.
Really was. And I will tell you, and you were there, I was trembling.
Yes.
You could see my hands trembling.
You were more scared than when you guys took on Copperfield.
Yeah.
Which was the most scared I'd ever seen you.
Well, also because I had to do moves. I had all sorts of fancy moves to do, both finger flinging and mental.
There's a moment where Teller became confident, and I don't know if that shook you at all, but there's a moment where he was kind of really baffled, like, what the hell's going on kind of thing, and all of a sudden, by the second half of the trick, you saw him just start confidently going like, yup, okay. And I want to know if that shook you at all, because he suddenly got very confident.
I was shook all the way through, and I kept telling myself, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It's the bit, which is what we tell every single magician. It's 100% bullshit.
Yeah.
It matters tremendously.
Well, it didn't make errors because they finally brought Teller up, and you guys actually talked up top. Mm-hmm. So for people in the audience, this was kind of fun because they just let Teller talk. It was adorable of you two because by the end, you were trying to say that you were actually convinced that you hadn't fooled him. Mm-hmm. And Teller was like, no, but I definitely didn't know this one part, so I think you did. And you guys were actually arguing reverse by the end of your discussion. That you were arguing that you didn't fool him, and he was arguing that you did, which I thought was adorable.
I think, it was great. And I had this one fantasy that really made me laugh that didn't turn out to be the way it was. When I was telling the producers, you want to keep this from Teller, I was hoping the producers had already been called and told you have to keep this from Penn.
Oh, yeah.
How great would that have been?
Oh, it would have been so fun.
But the other thing was that Teller, we have to do 14 bits every year.
Yeah.
So this year we only needed 13 because we had this one.
Yeah.
So the producers had to say to Teller, we always insist on one extra, but we trust you. So we only need 13 because we had 14 because mine was the 14th, right? And Teller would go, no, I think it's good to have the buffer. And they would go, no, we don't need the buffer. And they go, well, we think it's good. So Teller's making us do more work. So we actually, for the next season, we have one all ready to go.
Were you happy now in hindsight that you did the kind of we'll split it later kind of thing, a half fool? Were you happy with that?
I don't remember that's the one we used. We shot a lot of them.
Yeah.
That was the right one to do because we were both, I was so sure he busted me and he was so sure he didn't.
Yeah. But it was neat. You guys actually, I wish they could have just broadcast it all because he basically said, he's like, if we had watched another magician do this and I said this, wouldn't you say that we would go through it? Like, it was a really neat kind of insight into like how you guys actually bust other magicians. but that whole Teller talking thing did you in. Can't.
I was so nervous. I was crazy nervous.
So you're going to do it again next year? Better trick? More helium?
No, Teller's going to fool Penn next year, and he's going to come on and do that linking finger thing that comedians do.
I'm hoping.
Behind his back. Penn's going to go, I got no idea.
I'm hoping he's got one in the hopper.
You want it. You want him to do it. You're going to be paranoid the whole season, just waiting for him to just sit up and go up there.
Because, we're going to do... this is violating a contract. We're going to do another season to fool us this year.
Yes.
We're going to do one in October. So we got, it'll be, it'll have to be done safely. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, just shoot it in Florida, then we're good.
Yeah, it's safe there.
Let's go to New Zealand.
At either a church or a protest.
I can't think of it right. Trying to go back to my New Zealand song. But I tell you, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. The people are wonderful.
Oh, please tell me we're shooting Fool Us New Zealand. Please tell me that. That'd be the best news ever.
They won't let us in.
Yeah, they won't let us in.
Nope. They've got their little utopia.
Me, her. Just us we go by ship.
I got to tell you, we got to doing this one in the fall. It's scary, but we got to talk a little bit on Wednesday about Trump's monument garden.
Oh yeah, I love gardens.
But for right now, that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha cha cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
nature sang and round us rang the music of the spheres. That was Penn
The problem with the Invisible Man is that in the original one, it's a chemical, so he has to be naked during it. But this, it's a suit, so he's not naked, which is much less funny. You know we love you.